So a bunch of people have been asking about this. I'm going to be talking to a few groups kind of like separately about some plans here in the near future. But I did want to give just kind of an overview of what we're talking about when we're talking about a validator. So what are they? Why are they important? A little bit about our testnet validator rollout plan. So again, I mentioned we're in testnet phase. Right now, Tableland runs the only validator. And so we're going to start onboarding new teams to have a whole network of validators to get a more decentralized network going. So I want to talk a little bit about that, the rollout that we're doing there, and then what's coming up next. So let's start with what is a validator? What are we talking about when we're talking about a validator? So validators are the nodes on the network that actually execute the Tableland protocol. They are the nodes that are materializing the table. So when you mint a table and you insert, data into that table, say it's NFT metadata, or say it's in-game state or whatever, when you're sending those calls to the smart contract, there are a bunch of validators there will be a bunch of validators sitting there listening to those events and materializing that data. That's what their job is. And so they have basically kind of three core responsibilities. Validators are there to listen to on-chain events, and I'll talk about what I mean by on-chain events in a second, to materialize the Tableland compliant SQL queries into their local database engine, which is SQLite right now. Okay. Then their other job is to serve read queries. So, I mean, if you're going to put data in a database, you want some way to get the data out of the database. We've got to have the validators for that. And then they also relay write queries from our registry smart contract on behalf of users. So, you might be a developer who's building an app or a dApp, and you want to be able to relay transactions through the smart contract via validators. Now, this is what validators are doing right now. And the responsibilities of these are going to change over time as the sort of protocol evolves. They'll do sort of more and less things, but that's the sort of state of things right now. And longer term, the validators are going to have sort of increasing responsibility on the state of the network as they work to secure the network and ensure redundancy and ensure payments and all that good stuff. And so we'll be releasing some more information about what validators look like in terms of their position in the network and how they interact with smart contracts and things like that. But I just wanted to give you a really quick kind of overview of how Tableland works, right? So, and that just gives you an idea of a better understanding of how the whole thing works. So Tableland is a bunch of components, including an on-chain component. And we call this the registry smart contract. And basically, this is an NFT registry of all of the tables. And each target chain has one of these registries on it, right? So if you've got a bunch of tables on Goerli or a bunch of tables on Polygon or wherever, there's a registry on each of those. And users mint tables via this registry, just like you mint an NFT. The registry contract itself has basically a method called create table, and that's where you're minting the tables. And what that also does is the validators are sitting there listening for those create table events, and when they see one, they create the table locally in their database. So now suddenly you've hit a decentralized chain, maybe it's Polygon or whatever, and we've got a decentralized network of validators that are watching for events and materializing them. Then they've all got the tables locally. Validators then detect any new events like a create table or a run SQL for like if you're inserting data or updating data. They're sitting there watching that and materializing all of those changes locally on the tables. So you can do you can run SQL, blah, blah, blah. The validators detect all of these events and execute the mutating queries locally on their own thing, and we get this sort of consensus of state across all the different validators. And I'm simplifying a lot of the details, but this gives you a good idea of what's going on. Then all those validators are running an RPC endpoint. Basically, you can query them using HTTP and run read queries, so select stuff from them. Right, so we've got this whole flow of there's an on-chain component, there's an off-chain component, and the off-chain validators are all materializing the data that they see on-chain. And that's, writ large how it works. So that's why we need validators, because they're the ones who are running the whole network. So, okay, how are we going to get more validators? Well, we're starting with a limited set of sort of very targeted partners for the first 2 to 3 months, and we're starting that now. We're going to go through a phase of very rapid testing and optimization to make sure that running a validator is an easy and fun thing to do for the validators, and that they can easily upgrade and update as the protocol evolves. We are finalizing the first set of validator partners that we're going to be reaching out to sort of this week and next. And then we're actually starting outreach and onboarding kind of now through August. We're going to be targeting mostly teams with existing experience running Web3 infrastructure. So we're targeting teams that have done this before so that they kind of already have opinions about what a good validator setup looks like. They're going to have the infrastructure. They're going to have public IP addresses that they can leverage. They're going to have all of those things. So those are the teams that we're targeting at first. If you are one of those teams, or you're part of one of those teams and you want to get involved, please do DM or hit me up on our Discord, or use our form to sign up for that. And I've already talked to some teams about this as well. And then once we get into later in the season, so like in the fall, after we've gone through some of these preliminary, very targeted, limited set partners, then we will start opening it up to the broader ecosystem for people to start participating. It'll still be sort of smaller incentivized groups of validators running that. It will still be a very high touch experience, but we'll slowly be rolling that out as we move. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of what's going on. I don't want to take up any more of our time, so I will step back and just hit me up on Discord if you've got any more questions about any of that validator stuff.